All right, welcome back to Broken and Blessed. This is going to be our bonus episode with Mandy, where she will be graciously sharing her testimony. But just a little backstory. This is Mandi Kelloway again, the owner of a salon on the South Bank, once upon a stylist, and in charge and help founding, running Cup of Love Ministries, Just for Grins Foundations. I mean, basically. And then I will once again speak it into existence, the best-selling author of
Gosh.
Revealing the Father's Heart Through Revelation. Of course, the link to buy on Amazon is available, and it will be in the link or a spot below. Make sure you like, comment, follow to share that. But we will, start with prayer. Make sure we start with prayer.
We should do that.
All right, Father, we thank you for the power of testimony. You tell us in Revelation 12:11 that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So, Lord, I ask that you bless every word Mandy shares today, that it would reach the heart of someone who needs to be reminded that you are still redeeming stories. Amen. I think that's perfect. Just to roll into really back to the beginning and telling me really where your relationship with Jesus actually started.
Days after she delivered a baby, don't recommend. But so if you don't know what that is, it's a facial deformity and it affects, I had bilateral cleft lip and palate. So essentially my lip wasn't fully formed and my palate wasn't formed. So I had to endure about like over 20 surgeries and 12 years of braces, 12 years of speech therapy. So that's probably why she had me with her, honestly, because she's like, watching me. So I grew up in church and I am very blessed. I don't take that for granted because I know that is, just don't take for granted. And so I gave my life to the Lord when I was 8 years old. Like I knew what I was doing. I walked right on down to the front of First Baptist Church downtown and gave my life to the Lord, and I meant it, and I was baptized. And it's wild to think, you're 8 years old, but the Lord, he just deep seated it in my heart that was the way. And so then that was the way. That was it. There was no option for anything else, right?
It's perfect.
Yeah. So then I went to middle school where my faith was 1,000,000% tested. Every day I had a facial deformity, braces, teeth growing in, surgeries left and right. I mean, doctor's appointments all the time, it was wild. And I had a little handful of friends, and I had a whole lot of bullies. Whole lot of people are mean in middle school.
Middle school, I'm pretty sure, was invented by the devil.
Yeah, it's
Just
horrible.
It's terrible.
Just so nasty. I'm like, I threatened my kids when they were in middle school. I mean, I threatened them before they even got to middle school because I was like, heck no, you better help that person. Because luckily the Lord sent me some help, and I had a handful of amazing friends, Ashley, Carolyn, and Izzy, and they were my warriors. So they would fight people left and, well, Carolyn was really the fighter. But Ashley would, and Izzy would literally get in there, but they would stand up for me, you know what I mean? And they would protect me and just beat up people that were mean to me. But I was still going through all these surgeries, and then in high school, it wasn't, I mean, there was still a little bit of, immature people that were rude, say stuff. But for the most part, I really loved high school as far as my friends and being in sports and clubs and choir, it was amazing. And in high school, I met my high school sweetheart. At the time, that's what he was. And, growing up with a facial deformity and doing all these things, you don't exactly have the most self-esteem. And this is really hilarious. I tease my mom now because I know she meant well when she was delivering this news to me, but I would just cry and cry. And I'm like, Mom, how come all the girls are pretty and I have like brace face, and
Mhm.
I'm just awkward, a stream being, I was very lanky um and my mom would just say to me, Mandy, the ugly duckling, like it grows up to be this beautiful swan and you are going to grow up and be this beautiful swan one day. And I was like, but I'm an ugly duckling now. But I'm an ugly duckling. And I know she didn't mean it that way, but I was like, so what you're saying is I'm ugly. Got it. But she wasn't saying that at all. I don't think so. Anyway, so the point is that she was trying to encourage me the way that she knew how to encourage me. And I can't say it made it any easier. I
Yeah.
went through a lot at that time. And then I met a boy, and this boy saw past all of that, and he saw all the good qualities of me, and he said I was beautiful. And no one had ever referenced me as beautiful. Um, and I fell in love and was like, this is it, we're gonna be married for all eternity. Um, and so we got married young. I got married when I was 19 years old. I graduated when I was 17, got married at 19. I can't believe my mom let me get married. I mean, I was pretty stubborn, so I know she couldn't talk me out of it. She did try. And so I got married and we had a plan. I was in hair school, and he was working on his career, and we're going to wait 5 years to have kids. And then life really lifed, and we had 3 kids in 5 years, and that was not the plan that I had. And I had taken every precaution to not. But the Lord obviously knew, that I apparently needed 3 kids that young. And so I love them. And I did want kids. My kids always tease, like, you didn't even want us. I'm like, no, I wanted you. I desperately always knew I was going to be a mom. I want to be a mom. I always wanted that. I just didn't want it at that moment. Um, but anyway, so in the midst of getting married and having kids and the stresses and all the things, and there was a lot of things that happened, and he, I'm very strong-willed. So
Really?
I'm not I'm not the easiest person to manage either. Um, but and I'll speak very gently, only because it will not bless you to hear all the nitty-gritty of what that marriage was. But I will just say that through a lot of unfortunate events, his past trauma, my past trauma, um, and then mixed with drugs, alcohol, it doesn't take long before verbal abuse starts, then physical abuse, emotional abuse, all the abuses that you could, the cheating, the affairs, all the things,
Mhm.
that started to ensue. And I tried to hang on. I'll be honest. I stubbornly tried to hang on.
Mhm.
I did not want to be a statistic of course you're going to get divorced because you got married at 19 and what were you thinking? And I didn't want to be
Right.
a statistic in that. And I really believed that I could make it work. I call it the wounded bird syndrome, where it's like things, and it's like, yeah, you can do nothing. It's the Lord who changes people, not you. So anyway, I through that tried all the things and gave every opportunity, way too many opportunities. You know, uh, Truly coming very close to losing my life several times, um, and it got to a point, and I'll be honest, I knew like I needed to get out of
Mhm.
this. And it's really wild when you're in that, because you really you're so deceived in it,
Yeah.
right? You really believe that it's your fault, or you can do more, you can do better. And I wish I could say that I left that marriage because of me, because I thought that I deserved better, but I didn't actually. Sadly, and cool also, I did not want my boys growing up thinking that that was how they treated a woman. And
Mm.
I did not want thinking that that's how she should be treated by a man. And that is what drove me to get a divorce. He had pretty much already started like a whole nother family in Texas with a girl that he was going to marry and all this stuff. And he didn't have any more kids, but he had already, I found out later, he had, made plans and all this stuff. But in the moment, it had nothing to do even with me. And I wish it would have. And if I can like encourage any woman who is dealing with it, you deserve more. You deserve better, right? Like,
Yeah.
you deserve better. The Lord is very clear in his word about how a husband treats his wife.
And I think that I don't want to take away from your story.
No.
But I do think it is an important time to stop on that. Only because I've been in similar situation and it wasn't, I'm so grateful because it was actually my husband who came around and we had started hanging out as friends. And even as friends, I saw how he treated me. And it, like I said, I wish it could say that I was like, oh, I can walk away because I know that I should be treated better. But honestly, it was just my husband came around and he was treating me better. And I was like, oh my goodness, what a difference.
Yeah.
And it was almost like I had an escape now. Because I was in a position where it was like, like you're nothing without me, and I believed it.
Yeah.
Which is back to just the lies of the enemy in your head and just not understanding your worth through Christ and through his word.
Oh, yeah.
So to understand your worth, if you were in any situation like this where you just maybe you think it's not even that bad, but I just would highly encourage you to read certain, what didn't you say about identity? Just understanding who you are, that you are precious and you were made specifically on purpose for a purpose. And it's
Go hang out in Ephesians.
go hang out in Ephesians.
Yeah.
That's where you need to be, says Mandy, and I would just agree with whatever she says. So but highly encouraged, because obviously it is a sensitive topic, but it's far more common than anyone knows, and that's a terrible thing. And I think if women just really understood who they were in Christ, and how precious and eager he is to be with you and call you his own and just spend time with you and put value into that, it would give courage and strength to walk away.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, girl.
It is. But I did want to speak on that because
Yeah.
I mentioned briefly in one episode, and I just think that shaking a little bit. That's not something I want to talk about much, that I really go into a lot. So now that we've talked about that, but did you want to continue on that, or I have somewhere to kind of lead us on?
I'll let you lead.
Well, yes. I'm sorry. I thought that's where we
You should know Jason is not that guy.
Yeah.
My current husband.
We should clarify that for sure.
Because, just in case, because
Just
they
in
don't know me, so, But yeah, I did end up getting out of that. A single mom, and just I was not thriving. I was merely surviving. And then the Lord brought me Jason and children. And and yeah. I will not cry.
Oh,
I cry.
Right? Every time I have an episode, I always look around and wonder why I did not bring tissue. I never have tissues, and I always regret it. Okay, so during all this, was there a defining moment where faith really became like personal for you?
I mean, yeah, faith that the Lord would see me through, definitely the the marriage and then also the divorce, and then surrendering my pride,
Mm.
surrendering what it would look like, especially with you got a bunch of friends, they're all married, now you become single.
Mm-hmm. So what it would look like to others, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your friends are like, you stop getting invited. It's, it's
Mm.
okay. I was in my whole own thing, solid core. So I was like, felt fine. Um, and, but I will say that my faith, I did, I leaned into my faith, but I also was in such a place of self-reliance. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that sounds so odd,
Mm-mm.
but it's like a push pull that I feel like I've always had with the Lord of like, I will give it to you, but it's color coded, it's organized, it's alphabetized even. And if you could actually just do it this way, I'll give it to you. Yeah.
I think that resonates with a lot of
Yeah.
people.
So it's like, but I have faith that you'll take care of it, but also do you, right? So, and then I was also in a whole heap of I'll just call it what it is. It was straight bitterness in my
Mm-hmm.
heart, right? I had given this man my life. I had given him my being, um kids, you know what I mean? Like my body was destroyed. I'm like, who is going to date a woman with 3 kids? You know what I mean? Like, I just knew. And I was like, so I had built up a protective wall, essentially, that was like, I'm going to build up a wall so high that you can't hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just protect myself. And then you will never be able to hurt me. So I'm never going to get married again. I don't ever want that. I busted out 3 businesses in the midst. I was like, I need no one. You know what I mean? Even
Mm-hmm.
at times of, I don't even feel like I need God, but I believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
My faith in God, who was to me, was like, maybe I don't need him if I'm thriving, but I definitely need him in my darkest, desperate, dependent times. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't get out from away from me. But the cool thing is that I don't know why, but in my always had it so ingrained that I don't know if I heard it preached this way one time, but it was basically like, if you just turn around, like God will never turn his back on you. You are always the one who turns your back on him. So all you have to do if you feel like he's far away is turn your butt around. Like literally turn away from whatever has your attention and turn
Mm-hmm.
toward him. Like thought process. So I never felt like he was far from me because I just knew I just got to turn around to him and he's going to be right there.
Right.
So, and I may ignore some things, right? And I may not feel convicted, but he did. It was just my own pride, right? Um, And so it was like a time of going, I'll just turn back to him and he'll be right there because he is the only thing that can sustain me.
Mm-hmm.
And he sustained me throughout that divorce and how hard that was. And then he sustained me of being a single mom of 3 kids and trying. And he was not, he did not really get the kids. He got them
Right.
on a whim, did not pay child support. That man,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say that that I tell you I was a single mom doing it by myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I had family and I had friends who helped me so graciously. I had family who killed themselves, my dad, my stepmom to watch the kids, my mom to get the kids, my cousin Megan who would come take these kids and help me like it was nobody's business. My cousin Matt would come over and mow my grass. He owns an amazing lawn care business. And when I tell you that I did have people, Lord sent people around me to help carry me through, he did, right?
Right.
But when I tell you there was no child support, no medical help, no
Gosh. Yeah.
shared, no getting the kids every other weekend, no nothing. I was like on an island. You know what I mean? It was like, and then I got a few drive-bys with stuff dropped, you know?
Mhm.
So it was like I had no choice but to rely on God. I had no choice. I didn't give myself an option because there was no option. Even though I wanted to do things on my own and it was hard. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It would be funny because then I would be trying to do something, and then all of a sudden it would happen in a different way, and I'm like, my
Lord.
bad. My bad, Lord. You know?
No, that's good. I was thinking that you said that you were living in bitterness.
Yeah.
Um and it's just a reminder because I feel like the bitterness and those feelings of unforgiveness basically creates an opportunity for a foothold from the enemy. It just, of course, during the moment, you never really see this because I feel like when you're in it, you're so in it. But looking back, you're like, oh my goodness, like I was literally in a lot of my um, scenarios. I'm like, I was so bitter and I was not forgiving of these people that it left a foothold for the enemy to just fill my head with the thoughts of, I can do it by myself. I don't need you, God. Or in your case, I could see it like obviously because wasn't in it, but when you tell it to me, I see the lies that your body is ruined, the fact that who would want a woman with 3 kids, like those are all lies. So if you're out there and you're a mom with kids, those are lies because
Straight from the pit of hell.
because God does have someone who is meant for you.
Yeah.
And those are lies. And if you have the bitterness and unforgiveness in your heart, you're just leaving the room for the enemy to have a foothold. And
Yeah.
so I just pray against that.
Unforgiveness is one of those things that
You
is
have to,
silent killers. Like
it truly
it will
is.
rob from you, it will destroy you, and it will kill it will kill every bit of joy. And it is like just letting it go. And I know it's so, trust me, I've had to forgive a lot. But you know what? God has forgiven way more than I ever could.
Well,
So,
it's,
like, who am I to hold on to any unforgiveness?
was
Right?
it 70 times 7?
70 times 7, 490. It takes 490 times. In
Yeah,
our
that's
Daniel study,
really
we were
true.
just talking about it with the 70 weeks, so it was really cool because I got to bring this like little correlation into it. And it's actually really neat because basically God, Jesus, when he was giving that little parable,
Mm-hmm.
is basically an infinite amount. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't even count it. Like you're not going to sit there and
Tally it up.
and tally every single forgive. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I probably actually have to forgive each offense 490 before I really actually might mean it.
I think it goes back to saying like, one, forgiveness is a choice.
Yeah.
Like, and you just have to choose to do it. It's not something that comes naturally. My pastor at church, Pastor Josh, Church on the Rock, gotta throw that in there. He always says, you never drift in like a good direction. So it's not like you never like, oh, how did I accidentally lose 5 pounds? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't happen that way. So you have to constantly make decisions to walk in the right path. And it just goes back to saying like, whenever you're dealing with that unforgiveness, sometimes you're like, oh, I forgave them. And then like 2 days later, you're like, that. And you're like, oh, I guess I didn't. But it's being back to Christ renews you each morning. And so each day you have a new opportunity to choose forgiveness again.
Yeah.
And you have to, if you want to be free to like.
I always gauge my like unforgiveness. I'm like, if I'm thinking about it,
Yep. Oh, yes. If it occupies your mind, because it's
nah,
also
nah,
a
nah, nah.
distraction and a
That's all.
distraction from the Lord. 100%.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned a lot of struggles that really shaped your early walk with God. Would you say that there's one specific decision or change that kind of really brought you back into the life that you're living now with serving and ministry?
I would say that probably started a couple. Jason had, it's a whole long story. I feel like I always have long stories. Let me shorten it. Let me condense it.
I mean, the podcasts are not going to be short. We're just going to say that.
Good thing, because you want to invite me back on.
I was like, we'll just keep this one to a short bonus episode. And then we got into it and I was like, this is not going to be a short bonus episode, but it's going to be a really enriching bonus episode. That's how I.
Cup of Love, it had been like the coldest it had ever been here in Jacksonville. And even like the animal shelters were having people adopt pets in overnight because it was so cold. They didn't want them sleeping in. So we had me and Jason, just friends. We were just talking about, man, what could we do? We went and tried to adopt a dog, you know, not him, obviously, he's in this truck, but I was going to adopt a dog. And his friend, we call him Uncle Jimmy, he had even offered and to have Jason. Jason didn't even have heat in his truck, so he let Jason stay and sleep on his couch. And so me and Jason had just been talking about like what it would look like, what we could do, you know, what could we do, you know? And I was at work. Jason, guess, went to Uncle Jimmy's, and all I know is I call him and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm at Walmart. I'm like, Walmart? He's like, yeah, I had a little bit of money. I had this bag of coffee that my mom had given me, and I'm buying a Gatorade cooler and some like creamer and sugar. It was like, I was sitting there watching the weather and about how cold it was going to be, and I was drinking a cup of coffee, and he said, I just began to pray and say, Lord, what can I do? What could I do? And he said the Lord spoke to his heart and said, well, I'll turn that cup of coffee into an ocean of love. And so he goes, I just knew I was supposed to go get stuff and take coffee downtown. He borrowed Uncle Jimmy's table. So he says to me, can you come tomorrow? I'm like, no, bro, I got a job, you know? You don't, but I do. I gotta take kids to school. I gotta go to work. You know what I mean? Like, and he was like, well, I'm gonna go down there and I'll come to your salon after and tell you how it went. I was like, perfect. So he gets up that next morning. I guess there was another kid staying on the couch, and Jason was like, hey buddy, you want to go with me? I guess he woke up. I don't know, Jason will tell you the whole story, but he came and was like, oh, I'll go with you down there. And Jason laughs now because he didn't have heat. So this like big he woke up at 4 a.m. okay, and a little Mr. Coffee pot container just kept brewing the coffee, worshiping, praying.
Oh my goodness.
Just brewing it and then pouring it in this like 5-gallon of. We actually did it that way, which is so hilarious because I now got involved in later in like brewing the coffee and doing it till somebody graciously bought us one of those like 100-cup big things. But we would wake up so early. You know, speaking of obedience, you know, I like my sleep. I told you I'm a gremlin in the morning. Anyway, he goes down. The coffee's heating up his car. It's hilarious. He doesn't know where he's going. He just prays. He asks the Lord, right? He's like, he's very holy. I'm just going to tell you. At that time, again, I was not in that. I'm not where I am now. Okay. Thank the Lord. He's just prays and just says, oh Lord, where should we go? I'm paraphrasing. I don't know how I pray. He's a really good prayer.
I imagine he was, oh Lord.
Yes, oh Lord.
That looks like, that sounds like him, you know?
Papa, it is your favorite petitioning you. Where shalleth I go? Where do the deer panteth over the water? You know, whatever. He's probably praying like that. And
didn't he mispronounce conspicuous at our last Bible study? Okay. In other words, he doesn't pray like that.
But you know, whatever. So
it was funny.
He prays. The Lord leads him to the street corner. Okay, we were on that street corner for a while, just so you know. And he goes down, gives out coffee, whatever. Comes to the salon. Okay, this man has purple hands. He had given away his hat, his scarf, his gloves,
of course, yeah,
everything. And he is like, he comes in and he's like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, come here, let me warm up your hands, which is, I think, when he fell in love with me because he thought I was like this nurturing caregiver. And so I think he like thought that I was just, oh, let me take care of you. But anyway, I really was just concerned that it had frostbite. So I'm like warming up his hands and I'm like, how did it go? Like, tell me what happened. And he goes, oh my gosh, we served 80 cups of coffee. And I was like,
Wow.
what? 80 cups of coffee? He goes, yeah. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah. And they asked if I would like come back tomorrow. And I was in my mind, my wheels are already spinning. So I was like, oh, okay. I'm not going to make this even better. So he's like, yeah, I was standing there and I was just handing out coffee. And he said, I was just talking out loud. And I said, man, I hate for anybody who had to sleep out in this. And he said, this man named Don looked at me and he goes, I didn't sleep a wink. I shook and shivered
Oh.
the entire night. And he said, this coffee means so much to me. He said, please come back tomorrow. And Jason was like, yeah, I will. I'll be back. And so I'm listening to the story, and I'm like, that's it. So I literally go back, I get my debit card, I hand it to Jason, and I'm like, go to Walmart. I have 3 crock pots. Don't ask me why. I have 3 crock pots. And I was like, I'm going to make chili. I'm going to make chili. And I was like, go to Walmart because I'm working. You didn't have nothing to do. So I'm like, go to Walmart. I'm like, I want you to get all the stuff to make 3 crock pots of chili. I want you to go and get all the coffee supplies you need. And then I want you to go get that man a big jacket, a sleeping bag, and hat, scarf, gloves. That's what I want you to get him. So Jason's like, sure, here I go. So I work all day. He comes back to the salon and he's like, oh yeah, let me have your keys. I'll go ahead and give you the stuff so you can take it home and you can make the chili and all that. And I'm like, oh, perfect. Thank you. He comes back in. I'm like, oh, did you get the stuff for Dawn? And he's like, no, I'm believing that the Lord's going to provide.
Okay. I've never heard this story, by the way, so I'm on the edge of my seat.
I look at this man and he just did with my debit card. I am co-laboring with Christ. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, look, I went to the Salvation Army. I'm like, you went to a thrift store? I told you to go to Walmart. Like, you don't even listen, right? And I was so I said, I don't even know why this man married me, but I was like, I gave you one job. Like, what have you been doing with your life all day? I gave you one job, right? Like, go get the stuff. And you go to a thrift store? Like, no. And he goes, well, yeah, they didn't have any. They actually didn't have any blankets and stuff. They had like men's blankets, dog blankets, I'm sorry. And he was like, I wasn't going to give a man a dog blanket. And I'm like, well, thank you. You got some kind of common sense up in there, buddy. Like, okay. And he is like, I just sat there and I was like, Lord, and the Lord said, do you trust me? And he was like, yeah, I trust you. He was like, no, do you trust me? And he goes, I do. I don't know if she does, but I do. And he said, I'll provide it. And so he's telling me this. And I'm like, snatch my card out of his hand. And I said, I'm going to go to Walmart. I'm going to get the stuff for Dawn. And this man looked at me and he said, and you're not going out downtown without me. So you'll take yourself home and the Lord's going to provide it. And he probably could just feel me welling up inside. Cause again, no man's going to tell me what to do. You know what I mean? I'm already in the thick of my pride, really. And I guess I know he could tell. And then he goes, let's pray. And I'm like, oh, let's just pray. Because anytime I pray, it just happens, right? Like, that's not been my experience.
Right.
So, sure, we'll pray about it. The Lord will just do it because of that. So how cynical I was. It's so sad. I've had to repent so many times for this. And so we pray. And then I go home. I make the chili, let it like go on warm overnight. I'm so excited about this chili. And I go to bed. Well, I cannot sleep. I cannot sleep awake. I am like just so burdened for this man who might actually freeze to death. I don't know, and I'm just crying out to the Lord and I'm like, Lord, please protect him. Please provide for this man. Like, I'm going to trust, I'm going to believe, and I know that you've been faithful. even though maybe I am missing it, but I know you've been faithful. So like, I'm going to hold on to that and know that you're going to provide for him. Get up the next morning, go out there, and sitting there serving up chili. And Jason, all of a sudden, Jason's like, Mandy, come here. So I come over there and he's like, oh, this is Dawn. I'm like, oh, hi, Dawn. Nice to meet you. And he's like, no, this is Dawn. Like, Dawn. And I'm like, Dawn, oh my gosh. Thank goodness. I was like, I was praying for you last night and I was going to come down and find you and he wouldn't let me. And all of a sudden, Jason's like, shh, which he shushed me. But I listened, and he's lucky I didn't throat chop him, but he shushed me, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my gosh, tell me what happened. He goes, you got to hear what God did for me. I'm like, tell me what he did for you. And he goes, I was sitting in the dog park, which has like 3,000 homeless people, or it did at that time. People. And he said, this white truck rolls up. And this guy gets out and he has two giant bags and he walks past every single person and he drops it at my feet. And I am like, what? Are you serious? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, you like my jacket? I'm bawling at this point. You like my jacket? And I'm like, I love your jacket, Dawn. And he's like,
Oh my
I
gosh.
had so much stuff that I had to give it away. Like it was too much for me to even carry. It was in excess. And I'm bawling my eyes out because in this moment, it wasn't just about that for me. In this moment, I almost was seeing this like a film strip going by. And I'm seeing in the supernatural that all these little film clips of my life.
I know things are getting interesting, but welcome to Cliffhangers. This is the end of Mandy's bonus episode, part 1. Check out part 2 to hear the rest of Mandy's amazing testimony. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow to hear the other amazing stories we cover on Broken and Blessed.